What's going on? This is Big G from G Riders, and welcome to another episode of Testing Rides. Today, I'm going to be testing out the 2021 Kia Forte LX-S. Welcome to the 2021 Kia Forte. The Kia Forte was introduced for the 2009 model year as a replacement to the Kia Spectra. The Kia Spectra was the Honda Civic, Toyota Corolla sized sedan in their lineup. And now for the third generation, the Kia Forte is kind of a car that competes very strongly in that class. I mean, the Forte, the first and second generation Fortes weren't that bad of a cars, but with this third generation, they really made some changes to make it a very good car, including giving it some of that similar styling as the Kia Stinger, which, fun fact, this car is actually designed by the same person who designed the Kia Stinger, so that's pretty awesome. So this is the 2021 Kia Forte, and all Kia Fortes come standard with a 2-liter inline 4-cylinder, making 127 horsepower and 132 foot-pounds of torque. Because it's kind of an economy compact size car, this vehicle does weigh just under 2,800 pounds. And with that 2,800 pounds, it gets a frugal 29 in the city and 40 out on the highway, honestly, which is kind of like the standard. As some of you may know, I do have a 2019 Volkswagen Jetta, and that car is actually about the same. And this car is about the same as my Jetta in every way, except my Jetta has a 4-cylinder turbo, of course. It gets a little bit better gas mileage, but it's still class average at this point, which is nice. You know, you gotta stay with the class. So this is the 2020 Kia Forte LX-S. Now this is literally one step up from the base model, and this one step up from the base model gets you a couple things. So it gets you the upgraded alloy wheels, it gets you kind of some gloss black kind of bumper inserts on the front and the rear, which look pretty nice. It's not like the cheap looking plastic. It also gets you the automatic transmission as standard, and it also gets you the drive select mode, so you can change it from normal, sport, and smart. And honestly, I thought that was one of those things that should come standard on all vehicles, but you got to go up to the LXS to get those couple things. So with all those couple little options on this vehicle, this car does cost just under $20,000. That's about average for the technology and the amount of features that are on this vehicle. In terms of trim levels, if you're looking at like a Corolla or a Civic or a Jetta, so this car would be an equivalent to like an LE Corolla or an LX Civic or an S model Jetta. So kind of comparable to kind of like the lower base specs of those other cars. And in terms of features and quality and everything, it's kind of right on par with the rest of those cars in that class. So let's go ahead and take a walk around the 2021 Kia Forte, and then we're gonna head out on the road. So one thing I really like about the Kia Forte is the front. I think it looks really nice. It's pretty aggressive, but also very simple. So I like the headlights, kind of the placement of. I like where those turn signals are. Those look actually really nice, and I like the little running lights that are down at the bottom. But stupid thing, to be honest with you, they don't act as fog lights, and if you have those lights already there, like as running lights, they should be acting as fog lights as well. So that's just kind of my only gripe with kind of the front of the Kia. And if you get an upgraded Kia Forte, the headlights has like that 4 LED kind of headlight, just like a Porsche does, and kind of Kias have been adding that in their vehicles on the higher models, and I think that's pretty cool if you get the LED headlight package, which if I bought one of these, I'd probably get a GT, and the GT has the upgraded engine so you can get the cool headlights and all that stuff. Back to the hood, it's really nice. It's really aggressive, really sculpted. It looks pretty awesome. Let's go around to the side of the Kia Forte. The Kia Forte is actually quite a long car. It's quite a bit longer than kind of its first early one. And, you know, this is actually probably size of like maybe 2 generations ago Kia Optima, which small cars have been getting a lot bigger now just because people are looking for bang for the buck now, because a lot of people are buying crossovers. And it makes sense that this vehicle feels like it's a little bit bigger. It is even pretty, it's probably, and it's for the most part bigger than its model replaced too. So go down the side of the Kia Forte. The Kia Forte styling is actually pretty simple here on the side. There's not too many creases or dramatic lines. It's just very clean. It almost reminds me of like a German car design, which is pretty cool. Coming around to the back of the 2021 Kia Forte. The back of the 2021 Kia Forte looks really nice as well. I love kind of how the tail lights are all redded out. It has kind of like that light bar effect that goes down the middle. You can't actually get a light bar on this vehicle, but I kind of like the styling on it. And you got your turn signals and your reverse lights down lower here. It's kind of the same type of look and feel as the front of the vehicle does. And then you got this gloss black painted rear apron with that little fake meshy style back here with the exhaust pipe. I think it looks really good. They made this Kia Forte look pretty aggressive for like a pretty low-end model car, and that's pretty impressive actually. And you know, to be honest with you, cars of this size need some type of style to give people motivation to choose like a smaller car over a bigger car. And also the simple fact that most people who are buying cars like this nowadays want at least a little bit of style in their compact sedan. I know, me personally, I do. So let's go ahead and take a look at the interior, then we'll head out on the road. All right, welcome to the interior tour of the 2021 Kia Forte. The first thing I want to talk about before we get inside is the key. So this key is actually a pretty cool looking key. So it has like the buttons kind of at a 45-degree angle. It's like a little detonator. It's actually kind of cool, to be honest. And then it has a flip key because this is a lower model, so this one does not have the push button start. So let's go ahead and get in and see what it's like. All right, welcome to the interior tour of the 2021 Kia Forte. So moving around the car, you know, there are some pretty cheap hard plastics. You know, you got like a nice little line here that kind of separates the dash apart, and you can tell probably when you get up to the higher models that you get a little bit better quality materials. But you know, I'm not going to harp on the quality of this car just because this is a particularly low model, so I don't think there's no point to harp on the quality of the interior. But for the most part, for it being the price that it is and it being kind of a lower model, it does look pretty good. Like, you have a nice pretty big screen here in the center. Everything looks really easy to use. The gauges and the cluster is really easy to look at. And then, like, I mean, look at, for example, like these little vents. It's like little volume knobs. I think that's pretty awesome. And then it's just like a really nicely clean designed interior. I mean, it reminds me of like a German car interior, but you know, of course, Kia has been doing that for the last couple years now, so that's not really nothing new, but it still looks really nice even down on this cheaper model. So moving here to the center, you go ahead and start it up because it's getting a little hot in this car. Got the little system check that happens when you start it up. So coming over here to the central screen, Kia's infotainment system works really well. I am pretty impressed with how easy it is to work with, and the fact that it doesn't really lag, and that's pretty awesome, to be honest with you. So I mean, this car does have Apple CarPlay and Android Auto and that stuff, like, so you know, I haven't really played with it too much, but just the little bit that I have messed with it, the infotainment system and everything, it's very easy to use and intuitive. Like, you know, you got all your menus here, and then pretty responsive. Go to settings. You know, it's just typical Kia infotainment system. It just works well. I mean, you have where you can do your home screen there, and then like I typically just plug in my phone for the most part. But it's kind of cool when you look down here, you hit this button right here. Your drive modes. I don't know if you guys can see that, but it changes your drive mode depending on, it changes like kind of the outline of the car. So if you're in smart mode, it's blue. If you're in normal, it's white. And then you also get something here in the gauge cluster too, which is pretty nice. And we'll talk about kind of how the car drives in all those modes on the driving portion. One thing that I really like is the fact that it has this little shelf right here for your phone. So as you guys know, I do have a 2019 Volkswagen Jetta, and the one thing that's really annoying to me is the fact that sometimes when I plug in my phone, I feel like there's not really anywhere to put it. So I like how the USB port goes down there, and you plug your phone and you can just sit it right there, and it stays in place like when you're taking corners and things like that. I think that's a really well thought out design for this interior. The cup holders are, you know, your average cup holders. You can fit a pretty nice size drink in there. You know, no giant water bottles or nothing like that. But if it's basically kind of everything that you would need to fit in there. Over there, as you look over there on the passenger side, it's also in the rear and everything. Those speaker grills look pretty cool just to be kind of on the base model Kia Forte. And honestly, the sound system is not horrible for it being base, but you know, of course, it's not great either. Up there, you got your just average your dome lights. You got your sunglass holder. You got glove box and a console. And then, you know, not a whole lot going on in the back seat. Like, the back seat is actually pretty roomy, and you know, it's a compact car, so like if you need a bigger back seat, you definitely go for the K5. Taking a look at the seats. The seats are your just standard Kia cloth seats. Honestly, these seats don't look too bad for base cloth seats, and actually they're very comfortable. Like, they have a pretty decent amount of support. They have a pretty decent amount of support, but without being too like huggy. And I'm glad that, you know, the seats are pretty comfortable. You know, as you guys know, I'm over 6 feet tall, over 350 pounds, and you know, I fit really well in the seat in this car. This is a very comfortable car for me. Like, I can move my legs all around, like you can see here. It's really nice, and steering wheel doesn't like drop down in my lap or nothing like that. And even kind of in its lowest position, it's still like not that low, and it still gives you pretty good view of kind of the gauge cluster. You know, if you are a pretty tall person and you're looking for a sedan, this is not a bad option to look at. I mean, because this car has like the amount of space of like a German car, so I think that's pretty awesome of this car. But besides that, there's not a whole lot of new stuff to talk about in this interior, so let's go ahead and get it out on the road and see how it drives. Welcome to the driving portion of the 2021 Kia Forte LX-S. Let's go ahead and head on the road and see how this thing drives. So let's go ahead and throw it over to sport mode, and transmission to sport, and floor it. All right, so that's 60. And honestly, that is not too bad. Like, the Kia Forte does have 147 horsepower and 132 foot-pounds of torque and under 2,800 pounds. I mean, that's your average economy car kind of power to weight ratio, and it accelerates like that, to be honest with you. I mean, and if you complain about the power, they do have an option to get a 1.6 turbo with 200 horsepower. So honestly, I'm not going to complain about that too much, but the power is adequate for the type of car that this is. One thing that's really cool is, so this car does not have adaptive cruise control or nothing, but it does have a very cool lane keep assist. So look, I'm not holding the steering wheel. We have another curve coming here pretty soon, but this car has no adaptive cruise control, but lane keep assist that steers, which is actually pretty awesome for kind of this price point. So look at this. I have to touch it a little bit just to know that I'm still here, but it's steering around the corner for me, which is pretty cool. I did not expect that when hopping into this vehicle. So, but I do think it's a little weird that the simple fact that it does have this pretty advanced steering lane keep assist, but no adaptive cruise control. Like at that point, like, what's the point of having one or the other? Like, either have both or have neither. You know, just have maybe like a front end smart braking assist or something like that. But honestly, I do think it's cool, but it is a little weird. So so this car does have this is Kia's first CVT that is in this Forte, and it's also in the Soul and some other smaller vehicles. So let's go ahead and drop some fake gears, go around the corner. And honestly, this car is not that bad. So in the sport mode, the steering stiffens up quite a bit, and then also the simple fact, also the throttle gets a lot more responsive. But I mean, it's your textbook sport mode in a economy car, so I mean, there's not a whole lot to write home about, but it's pretty decent. And it's nice that it has that sport mode. So like, I mean, it's definitely worth it to get like the LX-S just to get kind of that option to have that. So just with normal cruising, there's a decent amount of road noise, but it's not that horrible. Like, it's not really loud to where if you have somebody in the car and you're having a conversation, you have to talk over the road noise. It's not that bad, but it is noticeable. The car is really comfortable. Like, it has a great seating position, a great commanding view out of the windows. I mean, this car doesn't have blind spot monitoring or anything like that. So look, checking blind spot, they're not horrible, but you have to kind of just move around your head to kind of find the right spot to see where you need to get over, or wherever something's in your blind spot. So that's I'll turn it off for a second. So that's pretty good. As you guys can see too, like, I'm over 350 pounds and over 6 feet tall, and I have plenty of headroom in this car, plenty of shoulder room. I don't feel like I'm squished in this car, and I love that these small cars now don't make me feel like that. Where just probably about 5 or 6 years ago, these small cars were, when they say compact car, they meant compact car, and now they're like pretty close to what a mid-size car was just like 5 or 6 years ago. So one big shock to this Kia Forte is actually it's actually decently fun to drive, and it handles pretty nicely actually. I mean, I'll have some B-roll up of me kind of going hard in some corners. Not too hard, of course. I mean, it's economy car on economy tires, but it's actually pretty respectable for the type of car that this is. I expected this car to handle a lot worse than it did, but I was pretty impressed with what it can do in terms of kind of its handling and driving experience. But overall, it's a pretty nice car to be a compact car. It is not as fun to drive as something like a Mazda 3, but it's not as boring to drive as something like, I don't know, a Nissan Sentra. Like, this is definitely in between the kind of the more fun and sportiness and the boringness of like a Nissan Sentra. But I definitely think that if you're looking for a compact size sedan, you should take a look at the 2021 Kia Forte. Whether you're looking at a base model, this LSX model, honestly, don't get anything under the LSX model. Like, if you can swing it, get this one, because at least this one has, you know, alloy wheels and the drive select mode and a couple of the, you know, other styling cues that kind of makes this car look good. So I like this car quite a bit. And actually, funny enough, before I get off here, like, I did consider this car when I looked at buying my Jetta, but I'm going to be doing a review of my Jetta very soon, and I mean, that car was just such a good deal, I couldn't say no. And in terms of kind of the features that I got for the money that I paid, it was definitely just the right choice. But this is a comfortable, easy to drive, pretty decently fun to drive for what it is, and very cost effective, and it's rich with features and some technology and comfort in terms of the compact size car class. But if you're looking for a car like that, you should definitely go take a look at the 2021 Kia Forte. Like I said, whether you're looking at a base model or you're looking at the higher end of things, they're all very good cars. So if you like this video, hit me with a thumbs up, hit that subscribe button, keep riding me. Thanks for watching.